Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hey, what's going on? This is Matt from flipweekly.com. You're listening to the Flip Weekly podcast. It's a podcast all about reselling. We go to thrift stores, we go to op shops, we find things on Facebook Marketplace, and we go to garage sales. This week was the second week of the Garage Sale Trail, Australia's biggest weekend of garage sales. Runs for 2 weeks every single year, and it is... I don't like to say that it's our Super Bowl because that sounds really lame, but I guess it sort of is. I mean, if you're hitting up garage sales every single weekend, at least here where I am, you're going to maybe 4 or 5. This garage sale trail, you can go to as many as you want. They're in every single state in Australia, except for Northern Territory, and if you search for your location, there's guaranteed to be at least like 5 to 10 around in your area. Last weekend, I hit up 60 of these cunts. And then this weekend, I mean, we had a long day on Saturday. Like, I did the route on Friday night. Sam joined me again. She had a good time last weekend. I guess she thought that every single weekend we just find hit after hit. Well, she came to realize that that is not the case. You know, last weekend, garage sale trail was paved with gold. This weekend is paved with just fucking shit. Just shit, I tell you. Like, usually when I go to these sales, I'm in a good mood. Tell a lie, I'm not really in a good mood when I go to these sales. But I was going to say, I would at least buy like a cup of lemonade or a cookie or whatever these young kids are selling. But the amount of sales that we hit up, finding nothing, and I saw like the lemonade and I just looked at the kid and I'm like, it's your fault. It's your fault, kid. I mean, the kid did nothing wrong, but I'm just looking at him like, I'm not fucking buying your lemonade. You know? Pushy cunt. He didn't say a word to me. But that's just what it's like. Sometimes you do good at garage sales. Sometimes you fucking get nothing but a fucking cold, which is what I think happened. I think I picked up something going out to these areas that I went to, man. So yeah, let me tell you about what happened. First of all, this episode is not all whinging about garage sales. We do have some amazing finds later on. We have thrift store finds, marketplace finds. We also have some sales, you know, hundreds of dollars worth of sales. I mean, thousands, hundreds of dollars worth of items that are selling. Some that are going, you know, within 24 hours. Some finds that are like really, really rare to find. I mean, I'm just going to talk to you about those a bit later. But first with the sales, what I did on Friday night was I created the route like I always do. I said to Sam, I was like, we have a few options of where we're going to go. We can stay around your area, do what we did last time, and filter out the sales that had ran the week before so that we're only going to fresh sales. And she was like, oh, that's a bit risky. I mean, I don't know why I'm listening to her when she's been to 3 and I do this as a side gig. But I was like, all right, I guess that is a bit risky. And I was like, well, let's hit up the Shire. Let's hit up, you know, the Cronulla area. She's like, ugh. I don't know why she said, ugh. I think maybe she has work people in that area. She doesn't want to be seen going through all their junk, which I don't blame her. I mean, I don't think I would ever do garage sales where I grew up. I think that would be awkward. Imagine rocking up to a garage sale and it's some kid that you went to school with and they're just like, oh, hey. And you're like, hey, can I look through your shit? That's fucking awkward. So instead of that, I was like, well, you know, let's go to the inner west, Sydney's inner west. I'm allowed to say the following things because I used to live there, but fucking hell, if you haven't been there, you know, picture the thinnest streets imaginable. Picture you can drive barely a full car down these streets. I remember a moving truck going down these streets, and that was a mission. This is a place in Australia where it's impossible to find parks. So when I suggested the inner west and Sam was sort of open to it, I was like, oh fuck, probably shouldn't have said that. You know, going to these areas, yeah, horrible parking. So if we're going to 30 or so of these sales, I'm just picturing, you know, all of these parks. It's just going to be impossible to find a park, walk to this sale, come back. But luckily for us, luckily for me as the driver, we didn't get out of the car that much. And the reason why is majority of these sales, I would guess maybe 75% of the 30 that we went to weren't on. I don't know why. There's maybe this is like a garage sale hangover. Maybe they did them last week and then they thought, well, we're not going to do it again this week. But the thing is, they're listed on the Garage Sale Trail website as being on. So me being like a normal person was like, well, I'm going to go to it. I drive past and there's just nothing there. I mean, at the best of times, you're lucky to find a sign or a balloon, but there's none of that. There's no people around. I mean, tell a lie. There's people around. It's the fucking inner west. You have people doing their early morning run clubs where they pat themselves on the back because they woke up at 4 a.m. to run. You know, there's people walking their greyhounds. You know, there's more greyhounds than garage sales in this area. I don't know why everyone in the inner west thinks that the dog that they need is a greyhound. But yeah, there are people out and about, but there are just no garage sales. And I'm starting to think as we're driving around after one that isn't on, and then we go to the second one and there's nothing out. I'm like, well, this is becoming a bit of a issue, right? Like, it's rare to have this happen. Like, you usually maybe see one or two that aren't open, but we literally had like 5 or 6 in a row that weren't open or just weren't on, and it was just turning out to be a complete disaster. And this is usually what happens when I do garage sales with somebody else. They hear about all these amazing finds that we have, and then they come with, and then they're like, they see the reality. And the reality of garage sales is that there's usually just nothing. There's usually the bric-a-brac. There's just junk. There's glasses. There's plastic. But yeah, just no items that are worth picking up. So yeah, we're driving all throughout this area. We're trying to find parks. We're going down these narrow streets. We're doing a bit of walking. I fucking stepped in chewing gum for the second time in like 2 weeks. I didn't even know that was a thing anymore. And there's just nothing that we can find. You know, I think for that entire day, we spent more on gifts than we did on items to resell. You know, Sam picked up a B1 and a B2 plush, like a bananas in pajamas plush for her kid. I picked up, I saw this Barbie magnet dress up, which I thought was cool. Not to resell, but I was like, well, will Sam's kid like this? And then she was like, oh, mum would like this, you know, because it's sort of old. And so I got that for mum. And when we're at the sale, I said, how much do you want for this? And she was like, make an offer. And I was like, I'll give you $1 for it. And she was like, give me $3 for it. And then she said, I learnt that off American Pickers. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, just take the money. So that happened. So they're like the only things that we bought from those sales. Here's what I think is the reason. I think that these houses in Sydney's inner west, they are so fucking small. They're so tiny. They're just like, they're like thin. They're so thin you need to walk sideways just to get down the hallway. And when you have these really small houses, you can't accumulate a lot of shit. You know, you have to be throwing your stuff out or having garage sales or donating it because you just don't have the storage space for this crap. And when you don't have that crap, I mean, you can't sell that crap to people like us. So I think that in the future, the best garage sales to go to are the ones where people have yards. You know, people have that space where they can store shit and eventually have a big clean out. So the entire trip to this area where all the houses are the same was just a fail. It was really a fail. But the thing is, like, that's fine. That's the nature of garage sales. You strike out at some, you find something cool at the other. It really is a numbers game. And I just kept saying that to Sam, you know, the more that you go to, the more chance you have of finding something cool. It's the exact same with thrifting and going to op shops. Strike out at 7, you find something cool at the 8th. You just have to keep going. What are the odds that the very first op shop that you go into, if you've never done it before and you go into your first one, what do you think the odds are that you're going to find something cool? Like, it has to be like 0%, right? Like, it has to be a small number. So you just have to have that mindset. And that's when I said to Sam, like, do you want to fucking blow this joint and go back towards your area and find some other sales? And it was a bit unorthodox because I didn't have my route. You know, I'm deviating from the route, this big fucking deal. can't deviate from the route, can we, Matt? No. So we did that, and things were still pretty fucking bleak, but we were able to pick up a few items, right? Like we went to, I think, 10, and I bought from 2 of them. So the first sale was like in a quiet neighborhood, no cars around. There was a lot of signs at this place, but they were behind locked gates, like multiple locked gates, and you couldn't see the sale in the backyard. So me and Sam were like, well, this is like a bit iffy, you know, like we're not here to get murdered, so let's go in, check it out. And we go behind 2 gates, and as we're walking in, I can see like 2 dudes just standing there. We go around the corner, I get a full view of them, and like, yeah, g'day, whatever, and they turn out to be running the sale. But I'm rewinding in my mind, and I'm like, these dudes are literally just standing there, not saying anything to each other. There's no one else in the sale, and they're just standing upright. It was really, really creepy. And it was silent too. Like I said, this is a quiet street. There's no cars, there's no people around. These 2 dudes just standing in their backyard, like underneath this awning, just standing up. It was like that scene from the Blair Witch Project, the very end, where they find that kid and he's just standing facing the wall. It was honestly like that. It was a bummer because they had some cool stuff. There was collectibles, there was video games. But, you know, we rocked up at like midday, and as you know, when you go to a garage sale at midday and the video games are still there, it's because they're all highly priced. And that's what happened here. He had tubs, massive amounts of tubs, and he was like, these are the $5 games, these are the $10 games, these are the $20 games. I looked in the $20 game tub, and there was nothing that was like a home run. There wasn't like $100 games. There was like maybe $30 games in there. If I wasn't so creeped out, I would have maybe offered a price for everything, but at the same time, I don't want to be left with junk. So I'm looking around, and I can tell Sam is visibly uncomfortable because it's like the vibes were just really off. And I found a couple of things that I bought. You know, they did have some cool stuff. Like, you remember those old Lord of the Rings Toy Biz action figures? I had some of those loose. I didn't bother asking for prices because even sealed, they're not worth that much money. But I did have them as a kid. I found this box set of Spider-Man DVDs. It had a $5 sticker on it. It was like the Ultimate Spider-Man, which is like an animated show. Ran for 4 seasons. I picked it up for $5 and listed it up for $100. There's sold comps in that range, and it's not something that is listed up a lot, so somewhat rare, I guess. These people must have been looking up the comps for the video games, completely ignoring the DVDs, which is fine. We're happy to make a sale with that. And the other thing I picked up from them was a $4 graphic novel. I'm always looking out for that word omnibus on these graphic novels. They're usually thicker. They contain multiple comics in one. Got it for $4. It sells for $50. You know, it wasn't that great, but I just wanted to pick up a few things so that our exit wasn't refused. So we paid for that stuff. As soon as we get out there, Sam was like, was that the most awkward thing that you've ever experienced? I don't know, like, these guys must have just went straight back to just standing there not saying a word to each other. But found those 2 things. You know, I spent $9 and should be able to, well, I did list them up for $150 total. Just remember, with those graphic novels, if you find the word omnibus on it, usually you can get a bit more money. He only had the 1 volume, unfortunately. If I could get the first 3 volumes, I would have been able to get like $120 for it. That's what the sold comps are for. But $50 is what I'll be able to get. So yeah, we pay the man, we run for our lives. Then we head over to the next sale. The next sale was, I mean, in Sam's area, man, you drive like 20 minutes away and you're in fucking farmland. You're like, you don't feel like that you're maybe an hour and a half away from the city. You're seeing fucking sheep. You're seeing fucking, I mean, grass. That's not something that I usually see here in this fucking dystopian nightmare of a place that I live. But we get to the next sale. It felt like an industrial area, right? Like they had their house, they had a giant garage, had all these tractors and bullshit around. It was a husband and wife and their, I'm going to guess, like one of their mothers. Not much there for me, but I saw this purse. And you know me, I am an expert in women's shit. I saw this purse and I saw the brand name on it. It said Gianni Versace. And of course, Versace, you know, even if you don't know anything about purses, I'm sure you've heard of the brand Versace. It looks like a leather purse. It's got like what's that pattern called where it sort of looks like crocodile skin, like it has the little the checkers. Maybe it's called crocodile skin. Yeah, it was black. It had this little Medusa emblem on it. So afterwards I looked it up and that's what it was. It's like a Gianni Versace Medusa purse. So I'm looking at it and I don't know if this thing's real or fake. Like, who am I to tell in that moment? And giving it a quick glance over. At this point in time, I'm just wanting to go home, so I'm not paying too much attention. And the old lady, this sweet old lady, comes up and says, it's authentic. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, thanks for letting me know. I'm like, how much do you want for it? She's like, oh, I'm $20. I'm like, okay, this is surely worth more than $20. Versace is a premium brand. Maybe I could get maybe $100 for it. I don't know. If maybe it could be a home run, especially if it's vintage, especially if it's older. It's in good enough condition. And I opened it up and there's a 5-cent coin in there. I'm like, oh, there's money in here. She's like, no. That's good luck. In our culture, it's good luck. When you sell something, when you sell a purse, you leave money in there for the next person. That's good luck. I'm like, all right. So I pay the woman $20, chuck it in the car, and come home. And really, I have to emphasize that when I'm in garage sales, I'm sort of in like a haze, right? Like, I can spot the stuff that I want to buy, but I don't know whether I can't look it over properly when I'm there. I feel like it's different than a thrift store where you're just there by yourself. But at a garage sale, especially when you have the sellers like looking over you or making sure you're not stealing their fucking junk, right? Like, they can't give it away, but they think you're going to steal it. So when I got home and I looked at it a bit closer, I'm like, there's something off about this, right? I'm thinking this sweet old lady, she might have pulled a fast one on me. Because here's the thing, I'm looking at this and just from, my basic knowledge of fucking fashion, or I guess fashion accessories, is that these premium brands, they're going to be well made. So I'm looking at the stitching of this and it's not consistent. I've posted photos in the newsletter, the flipweekly.com newsletter. You can check them out. The stitching on the left side at the top goes all the way to the edge, and then on the right side, it doesn't. So I'm like, okay, that's a red flag. The stitching is uneven and it's not symmetrical. And then I'm looking on eBay for items that have been authenticated. The eBay authenticity guarantee, whatever the fuck it's called. I'm looking at that. And when it comes to Gianni Versace, very similar purses, they all are stamped with made in Italy, or they have some tags that say made in Italy. And they also have, the genuine leather maybe embossed or like embedded into their material. So then I go back to mine. I go back to this fucking thing that is in my hands, and all we have is just Gianni Versace. It looks like a stamp, just a stamp. It's not embedded. It doesn't have like, you can't rub your finger over it and feel, it being embedded. It's just a fucking stamp, and it doesn't have where it was made. It doesn't have what the material is. So I'm like, okay, this is red flag number 2. Like, 3 strikes and we're out, right? And the third strike, the button clasp, where you put the button, where you put the button together, where I can't fucking think today, man. Where the button goes in, the button clasp, it had these random numbers on them. So I Googled those numbers plus Versace, thinking like it would be like, jersey wash tags or sport clothing, where Google the numbers, the tags, and comes up with that item online. And I Googled these numbers and no, it's nothing. It's not, doesn't show this particular product. It shows different stuff. It even came up, it was like one of the first results was like somebody saying, is this real or fake? And it had the exact same number. And everyone in the forum was like, this is a really bad fake. So that was 3 strikes and we're out. And I'm just thinking, she's saying this is our culture. And I'm like, your culture is to sell people fake shit? That's what I started to think. And then I was telling my girl about it, and she's like, well, maybe she didn't know. I'm like, come on. If you've got a genuine, like, premium item, right? Like, I don't own anything like that here. Like, I don't have high quality shit. But if I did, you best believe if I sold it, I would be like, hey, that's like a real Rolex, right? And I wouldn't be like, that's $20. If I was of a lesser a person with lesser morals, and I had a fake Rolex, I'd be like, yeah, that's a real Rolex, $20. I'd be cheering. So was she trying to scare me out of $20? I mean, $19.95 because I got that 5 cents. I kept that 5 cents. Actually, tell a lie, I think I left it in the wallet. I don't know where the wallet is now. I think I fucking threw it. I mean, that was the most money that I spent on Saturday's garage sale trial was on a fake wallet. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, I went out and bought a $20 Versace wallet and it turned out to be fake. Of course, Matt, it turned out to be fake. As a $20 Versace wallet, like, use your fucking brain, man. It's my punishment. So that was literally everything. Got back to Sam's and the partner was like, find anything good? Like, no, literally nothing. The time before that, came back with like Pokemon games that were worth hundreds of dollars, came back with so much cool stuff. This time, we got some B1 and B2 plush toys and a plastic golf set for my niece and nephew to play with. Not even real golf clubs that can be sold for money, plastic ones. Didn't come with a ball either. I feel like the entire day was such a waste of time. We got ripped off left and right. Had to spend time in the fucking inner west. Can't even get a fucking Happy Meal in there because those pretentious cunts are like, no, you can't put a McDonald's in King Street. We're too good for that. Dude, you have like a fucking KFC on that road. You got an IGA. Oh, gonna ruin the culture. It's a fucking McDonald's, bro. That's your biggest problem, is that they're gonna put in a McDonald's on King Street. You have a Spaniards kebab opening in like a couple of weeks' time, and you're saying McDonald's is going to ruin the fucking town. I like Clem's. I like Clem's Chicken Shop. But you know what I'd like at fucking 12:30 after drinks at one of the fucking rooftop bars? Not a quarter chicken and chips. I want a fucking Big Mac. Anyway, I had plans to go on Sunday to garage sales, and I was like, I'm going to text a friend of mine who had indicated they wanted to go to sales on Sunday. And I was thinking, I don't know what response I'm hoping for. I was just like, thoughts on sales on Sunday. I don't know if I wanted to hear, yeah, I'm so keen, let's do it. Or if I wanted to hear, yeah, I'm not too sure, it's up to you. And I got the response being like, well, they don't have much money. And I was thinking like, it's good enough for me. Let's fucking not go. So I didn't go on Sunday. I really just couldn't be fucked. After Saturday, I just thought I don't want to be driving around all day on Sunday just to find one or two things, I do get that FOMO, that fear of missing out. But I'm like, I'll just make it up somewhere else. We have thrift stores. We have Facebook Marketplace. We have other ways to source items besides driving around for 8 hours on a Sunday. And don't get me wrong, it is fun. It can be fun. The first week I had a blast. Second week, I think I was just worn down. Plus, I felt like, again, I was coming down with something. So I'm like, well, the last thing I want is to be trapped inside a car for 8 hours. So skipped it on Sunday, and that was it. That's the garage sale of 2025. Over and done with. It does sort of make me sound that like if I don't find anything, well then I'm just gonna bitch about it and not go. But I think it was just too much. Saturday and Sunday last week, full days, and then it was going to be Saturday and Sunday again. And that's the thing with these garage sales too, is this is a side gig. So you're thinking after you've done those huge days on the Saturday and on the Sunday, you're like, all right, time to wind down. And then you look and it's like, well, no, Monday is here and it's the start of the work week, right? Like you have other responsibilities besides garage sales. You don't get to rest until the weekend. The Monday starts right now. Let's get into it. Anyway, let's move on from the disappointment of those sales and we'll jump into a thrift store because I'm about to tell you about something you need to be looking out for in a category that I guarantee you wouldn't spend any time on, right? Like think of a thrift store. We're going to play a little mind game here, right? Think of a thrift store. Think of like maybe your least looked at category. For me, it would obviously be probably women's clothes, right? But for everyone else, maybe it's in the book section. And then you narrow that down even more. what in the book section do you look over? And I bet you a lot of people look over the sporting section, the sports section, where you can find your Lance Armstrong books, and you can see like the official Olympic Games fucking souvenir book, all this shit worth no money. But there is a sport that if you find it, there's a good chance it's worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Not even kidding. The sport you need to be looking out for is Taekwondo. You know, that martial arts like karate. Taekwondo. There's a series of books that were created by basically the dude that is known for being like the creator of the modern day Taekwondo. And the guy that is responsible for that, his name, and I'm going to pronounce this correctly, is Choi Hong Hai. Choi Hong Hai. He was a general in the South Korean army. So when you see books by him, it'll usually say General Choi Hong Hai. If you spot these books, you'll be able to sell them for, there's sales in the $500 range. There is a massive market for this guy's work. And when I was in Savers this week, I came across 2 books. They stood out to me because for some reason, I can't remember how it came to be that I heard about this guy and the Taekwondo books being crazy. I saw Taekwondo and I was like, oh, that sparked something. And then I saw the name, and I saw like General Choi, whatever it was, on the spine of the book. I was like, this might be that guy that writes these books and is worth a fucking fortune. Now, the 2 books that I found, unfortunately, were volume 2 and volume 3 of like this 15 book encyclopedia, like a 15 book series encyclopedia. I'll still be able to get like $100 for them. But if you see Taekwondo in a thrift store, look for the author, and if it's the general guy, you're gonna make a shit ton of money. Essentially what you want is like the thicker books that isn't, I guess it's like the omnibus, right? Like it has the A to Z of Taekwondo. He wrote so many of these over, and all of them are worth money. And like this guy who I guess invented it, he fucking loved Taekwondo. Like he loved it so much. He was a South Korean army general, right? He loved teaching Taekwondo so much that he did the worst thing a South Korean army general can do. And he said to his government, I want to teach the North. And the South Korean people are like, well, no, you can't do that. They're our fucking enemies. Why would you want to be teaching the North Koreans Taekwondo? They'll just use it against us. And this cunt was like, well, if I can't teach them, I'm gonna leave. And like, all right. So this guy fucks off to Canada for like a couple of years. And he's reevaluating, I guess, his life. And for some reason, he loves Taekwondo so much and he wants to spread it to the world. He must be thinking, well, the North really need to hear about Taekwondo. So he defects from South Korea and he goes and lives in North Korea. He's like, that's where he lives. That's where he died. He was there for so long teaching the North Koreans Taekwondo that he fucking eventually died in like 2002. He defected there in 1979. He was there for all that time. It was welcome with open arms, right? Until 2002. This cunt loved Taekwondo so much that he did like the worst thing a South Korean can do. So next time you're in a thrift store and you're like in the book section and you can see, I know Savers categorizes their books based on sports. Last time I was in a Vinnie's, they didn't really do that. Vinnie's and Lifeline and Savers, Salvos, they like to do the best thing that helps us the most by categorizing the books based on color. It makes finding certain books extremely difficult. I don't understand why thrift stores do this. Why do they have certain sections of their thrift stores categorized by color? You know, instead of having like a section for like yellow things and it's like a cup and a plate, why not just have a cup and a plate category? Why does everything have to be based on color? Some of these thrift store staff remind me of people that you see in your departments when you're at work, where they have nothing else to do, so they have to create work. You know, when HR comes up with like, we're going to do this new exercise and we're going to all pretend that we're animals, and you're going to say what your qualities and traits are. you're just thinking that this is a gigantic waste of time. They're just creating work because they know their job is redundant. That's what I think some of these thrift store people are doing. Like, what are you going to do today? Are you going to, bring out the new stock? Are you going to organize it in the back? And like, no, I'm going to sort it out the front. But get this, by color. That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard. So yeah, when you think about books, think sports books, think about Taekwondo, and think about the guy that loved it so much that he went to live in North Korea. General, just remember General. I think that's really all you need to remember. He's probably the only army general that's written a book on Taekwondo. You don't even really need to remember his name. Choi Hong-hai. General Choi Hong-hai, South Korean Army General, Taekwondo. Hundreds of dollars worth of books. Speaking of things people really love, I was able to tick something off my bucket list this week. I was able to find and obtain Nintendo GameCube games from Facebook Marketplace. This is not a holy grail pickup, but this is sort of proof, at least it gave me proof, that the Nintendo GameCube on Facebook Marketplace is obtainable. I've sent messages about GameCube bundles before after seeing a listing live for 1 minute. It was like just listed 1 minute ago. I sent a message and the person was like, well, it's already sold. You're too late. 5 Nintendo GameCube games. The description was $10 each, and I looked at them and I was like, these have to be worth more than $10 each. There was 5 games in total. The games were Crash Nitro Kart. There was a game called Pikmin. There's a game called Super Smash Bros. Melee. And then there was Mario Kart Double Dash and Luigi's Mansion. They're okay games. We're not talking about like a Pokemon game that's $200 plus, or one of the Zelda games, which I think is $200 plus. But these are all pretty decent games. And this pickup was only like 10 minutes up the road from me. So I sent through a message and I was like, I'll come pick these up right now. I'll pay cash, give you a massage, whatever. And they messaged back saying, sorry, somebody has already messaged, but if they don't show up, then I'll send you a message. I was like, all right, fine. This usually happens to me with GameCube games, so I'm not too worried. So I say, no worries, I'll stand by. And I think that's what made this person send me another message, because they said, well, the other person isn't coming. If you want to come get them now, that'll be fine. So I was like, hell yeah. Jumped in the car, went and picked them up, got the games, 5 of them, paid $50. Unfortunately, none of them came with their manuals. I didn't ask this on Facebook because it's not something that is going to get you the deal. The more questions you ask, the less chance you have of making a deal with these people. So that was fine. Got them back and I started listing them up. In terms of value, the game that is the least valuable is Crash Nitro Kart, which is worth about $35. The most valuable is Luigi's Mansion, which is $85. So in terms of total value, we're sitting on around $305. So I paid $10 a game, $50 total. Total value $305. It's all right, not crazy, but we should be able to net at least $150 profit. We would be able to get more if they had the manuals, because you'd be able to say they're complete. You'd have a much quicker sell-through rate. But I was just excited and happy that I can tick off GameCube from my bucket list. I think this is the first time I've ever bought a GameCube game. I didn't even think I've played a GameCube in my life. And then I was starting to think like, obviously this is the first time I've comped up some of these games. I'm like, these games aren't any more crazy than PlayStation 2 games I've bought before, or 64 games, and they're easier to find, I've found. Doesn't make sense. They're much more prevalent out there on marketplace garage sales. Yeah, so like Crash Nitro Kart, $35. You can get better games on PS2. So why is everyone obsessed with the GameCube? Unless these all sell within a week's time, then I'm not going to be that excited to find them. Yeah, it's good to be able to sell a game for $85 or $80 or whatever, but I could do that with a PlayStation 2 game too. I don't know. I don't get the hype for this. Anyway, that was on Facebook Marketplace, and if we're able to jump back to a thrift store for a quick minute, jump into a Vinnie's, and this is something that I bought that I just needed to tell you about, and I wish I could show you visuals. The visuals are going to be on flipweekly.com, because this thing is This is what I found is fucking weird. It's not even to resell. It was just too fucking weird not to show. And there's how many days until Christmas? And there's about 35 days until Christmas. A lot of these thrift stores getting into the spirit. They've got their little Christmas displays going up. I think my favorite display is in Lifeline, but they bring out all their pieces for Christmas and none of that shit's for sale. There's like these giant toy soldier statues, not for sale. They have these giant Santas, not for sale. Christmas Santa suits, not for sale. It's all just for fucking show. But Vinnie's on the other hand, I don't know what they've done. I think they've imported like a huge pallet of jigsaw advent calendars. Now, the reason I think they imported them is because I've seen these at multiple different Vinnies. It's not just the one Vinnies, it's at multiple of these. And the fucking jigsaw advent calendar, man. So it's 1,008 pieces in total. And for each day leading up to Christmas time, you get 42 pieces a day. So the idea, obviously, is you're slowly putting together a jigsaw puzzle. A cool concept, I guess, for people that like jigsaw puzzles, if you can call them people. And the thing is, like, I caught this on the corner of my eye. I saw it was only $4. It was still fully sealed, right? And I just started looking at it. Something about it just caught my eye. I started looking at what the actual image was of. And the more you look at this fucking thing, the weirder and more disturbing it gets, because I think I'm assuming Vinnie's has created this puzzle. It's AI generated. And when you look at it, it is fucking weird. I'm not kidding. There is a person, I don't even know if it's a person. It looks like some fucking ghoulish monster who is a hooded figure like Palpatine from Star Wars with a huge hunch on their back and a creepy fucking smile on their face with no hands. And that's like this fucking figure in Santa's workshop or the North Pole. This looks like it's supposed to be outside of Santa's workshop in the North Pole. It has this fucking creepy looking guy. He's somebody's fucking sleep paralysis demon, man. And then you look at the children playing in the snow. They're in the uncanny valley, right? Like where they're supposed to be illustrated faces, but it looks like they've morphed real children's faces into it. And they have their eyes like looking up and to the right. And you look at the other one, and it looks like a little Barack Obama giggling as they're opening a present. And then you take a closer look at the animals, and the animals have like two tails. Like there's a fox that has like its head and then a tail to the left, tail to the right. Like it's just walked out of fucking Chernobyl. There's like these reindeers that have broken legs. There's these presents that are like melting down the snow. And then like at the bottom of the stairs, in this village of white people, there are the only two black women in Santa's workshop. And it honestly looks like they do not want to be there, and they look like they're working. It's really fucked up, man. The proportions on all of the kids are weird. So like some of the kids are really big, some of them are really small. There's reindeers with like horns coming out the sides of their head. It's just really fucking weird. And the thing is, there are so many of these jigsaws in Vinnie's, these advent calendar in Vinnie's, that you could go into one right now and buy it for $4. And we're still in the what I bought section of the podcast, and so of course I had to buy this because it's just too fucking weird. Honestly, please check out the Flip Weekly newsletter to see what this image looks like. I don't think anybody has really looked at this properly. Nobody in the staff, because it's not in the Christmas spirit. It's just in that fucking weird Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas type shit. So I bought that for $4 and I'll be gifting it to somebody. And I'm sure I'll know whether or not they do it because, did you do the jigsaw? Oh yeah, it was good. It was good. Like, no, if you actually looked at it, you would know that the fucking vibes are really off. It's unsettling. Anyway, that's what Vinnie's had for me this week. If we jump over though back onto Facebook Marketplace, it was Monday morning. I'm rolling out of bed and I'm like, what does Facebook have for me today? I found 2 deals on that Monday that were too good to pass up. One was completely free and one was for $200. The one that was for $200 was for a Sony PlayStation 2, completely boxed. You might be thinking, well, that's $200, that's almost about market rate. Except this was a limited edition pink console. So I quickly looked at the photos. I could see that the box looked like it was in good condition. Everything about it looked like it was in good condition. But I needed to look up comps because it was listed for $200. That's pretty high. And I'm thinking this might be another reseller. And I started looking through the listing and everything screamed reseller. Like there was 10 photos, and of those 10 photos, a majority of them were like photo collages. This person had obviously taken a lot of time to take a lot of photos of this item and merge them together, collage them. I could see on their profile, they had fucking 324 reviews. That is triple my own, and I do a decent amount of Facebook Marketplace deals. So this person is obviously somebody that sells a lot. But when I looked this up on eBay, you could get a pink PlayStation 2 boxed, sold comps, and there aren't many active listings, for $550 plus $30 post. So what I think has happened is this is a reseller that might not know there's a difference between a regular PlayStation that doesn't have its box and a PlayStation that's a different color does have its box. I've talked about this on so many occasions where any sort of variation on anything really, but video games and consoles, controllers in particular, if there's a variation, it means it's rarer, especially if it's an official genuine thing that you should be buying or at least comping up. So this thing, you can ask for $550 plus postage. That's what I'm going to ask for too. Bought it for $200. I can sell it for $550. I've already listed it. Multiple people watching it. I think it will sell before Christmas time. And I think I got a fast one over on this reseller on Marketplace. It was an older lady, whatever that means, but yeah, she was happy to sell it to me for $200. She even tested it and everything. So, and left a game in there too, a Sega Mega Drive PlayStation 2 game worth about $10. But yeah, that's the thing with this pink PlayStation 2 is like it was released primarily in Australia and Europe, but it wasn't like a game tie-in or a promotion. Nowadays if you got like a pink Nintendo Switch, it might have had a tie-in with like the Barbie movie, something like that. But back then with the PlayStation 2, it wasn't for any of those reasons. The primary reason was that they wanted to try and attract more women, more girls to play the PlayStation 2, which in hindsight you're like, well, the issue with the PlayStation 2 isn't that it comes in a black color that isn't girly. Like women aren't buying this console because it's not pink. Very short-sighted, right? So it didn't last for long. Not many people bought it because why would you? So the rarity now is quite high. That's why you can get $550 for this thing. Oh, that's the other thing about the PlayStation 2 seller. It was 100% a reseller because when I said, what's your address? She was like, meet me at this library out the front. She sent through a graphic, which was a picture of the front of the library with text over it saying, this is the meetup spot, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, she does this a lot. That's something that I would do because when people are coming to pick up your shit, they're horrible with directions, right? I once had some guy come and pick up, I don't know if I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I sold all these Guinness World Records books that I'd been holding on forever. There was like 3 bags worth of these fucking things, and the guy was like, what's your address? I told him. I even included photos, circled my driveway, and I was like, park here, I'll bring them down to you. This guy shared his location to me and was like, I'm here. I go downstairs with all of my stuff, and then he's like, can you see where I am? I'm like, no. He's like, I've just shared my address again. And I'm thinking like, I have 3 bags worth of Guinness World Records books. I'm not coming to you, cunt. Like, you come to me. Anyway, I was standing outside for like 15 to 20 minutes, no joke, waiting for this guy to fucking find this place, which isn't even that difficult to find. If you can look at a photo and see, it's just, some people are terrible with directions. And when I met up with this guy, he's like, oh, I couldn't find the place. I'm like, take your fucking books and leave. So yeah, that person was a reseller. And then after I picked that up and I spent $200 for it. I swung by somebody else's place because I saw this listing, and it was a whole bunch of Wiggles DVDs completely free. They weren't the new. They weren't the older ones. They were the newer ones. You know, the DVDs with the carry handle. But I wanted to get them. There was about 20 in total. I wanted to get them for a few reasons. First of all, they were right near this PlayStation 2 pickup. So I was like, well, if I can get 20 Wiggles DVDs for free, I should be able to make some money for that. Second reason was like, it was going to force me really to comp up like a lot of Wiggles DVDs. And I know in the past I've said, don't buy the ones with the handles, only get the older car shit. But I just wanted to see if maybe that would change. Maybe there's some that are more valuable. And yeah, so I got them, picked them up, 20 in total. Like I said, comped each individual one up. I don't think there was a single one worth more than $25. I can list it online if I wanted to, like a slow sale, about $150. I decided to do $100. Of those 20 DVDs, there was 2 that were Christmas themed, so I sort of put them at the front of the listing. So maybe like an older person with Christmas coming up would be like, oh, let's get the Wiggles Christmas. And they'll pay $100 to me. That's the idea anyway. And Facebook Marketplace is such a good tool for getting free stuff. There's free stuff posted there every single day. You don't have to wait till the weekend, but the weekend is when there's a fucking gold rush, man. People are just wanting to get rid of their shit. They're happy for you to take it. If you can get out there, if you have access to a car, I mean, you can even use a fucking bus or a train, right? You can make money doing that. You could just source entirely free stuff on Facebook Marketplace. If you have a bigger car, man, the amount of people getting rid of free TVs, free trampolines, lounges, sofas, man, there's so much of that stuff. You know, my mum bought a new TV the other day, brand new, and I was just like, oh, I wish you would have told me you were going to buy it, because this shit is posted on Facebook every single fucking weekend for free. You start to think, why do we even pay for brand new stuff? There's just cheap shit on Marketplace all the time. Oh, well, the convenience. I was like, I mean, you paid $800 for a brand new TV you can get for free on Marketplace. Is this convenience worth that much? Anyway, if you get these Wiggles DVDs, the ones with the carry handles, if you get a bundle of 20, you'll be able to make $100. That's about it, unless they're the rarer ones. I think there's like 2 or 3 that are worth big money, and it's like Series 4 and Series 5 of the Wiggles TV show with the original cast. They're the ones with the handles. Everything else, pretty much junk, but people will pay money for them because it's a bundle of the Wiggles. You know, parents hate them, but kids love them. So we had a few other cool finds throughout the week. Won't go through them too much. All the photos are on flipweekly.com. I found this old plush toy that was like this AFL North Melbourne Kangaroos plush. Found it for $15, listed up for $100. I found a couple of Goosebumps VHS, which were cool. I knew they're not going to sell for much money. You know, they're not sealed. They're not incredibly rare. But I knew that at $2.50 a piece, and I got 2 of them, that somebody's going to buy them on Facebook Marketplace. Listed up for $50 on Marketplace and on eBay. There was another book that I found, which was The Art of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I've talked to you about this before. Whenever you see The Art of, in terms of a book that focuses on a popular television show or movie, you need to be buying it. It comps up. It was volume 2, sorry. If I was able to find volume 1 and volume 2, I'd be able to get about $150. Fortunately for one, maybe about $80, but still that's decent money for a $5 book. Let's move on to what I sold this week. We had a big week in sales. Sales for the past 30 days are up 60%. This is obviously the Christmas rush. Oh, by the way, has anyone seen the new Seller Hub on eBay? On the desktop version? I love it when tech companies change things just to change things. And this first item was a contributor of the sales being up. So I didn't talk about this when I found it because I didn't know if I was going to keep it for myself, if I was going to resell it. I think initially I was going to resell it, back in October, I found a Meta Quest, an Oculus Quest for $50, completely in the box. Didn't look brand new, but looked good enough. If you don't know what this is, it's old technology. It's from 2019. It's a virtual reality headset. Essentially, you put on a gigantic pair of goggles. You have these two controllers in your hands, and you can do a lot of things with these goggles on. You can play games, you can watch videos. There's walkthroughs of like Google Earth where you can go to places that you haven't been to in real life, and it's just very immersive because you're looking in these goggles, and everywhere you look, it's 360 degrees. Everywhere you turn, you can see whatever is in that area. So I thought this would be fun. I had a upcoming event to go to, and I thought I could take these. I knew that they wouldn't have used them before, so it'll be a bit of a novelty. So I went out, picked them up, $50. Now I got home, I tried it out myself. As soon as I put them on, I thought, even the fucking loading screen, you're inside like this glass igloo, looking up at the northern lights surrounding you. There's a fireplace in the igloo with you, and it just felt really fucking cool. And I like downloaded this free, I don't know if it's a game, or more so like an experience, where you go up to the International Space Station, you float around, you can move around, you can do spacewalks. All so immersive. It has built-in speakers too, so you're hearing things too. You're hearing things, you're seeing things. I'm not even kidding, my legs were getting a bit wobbly at first because I was like, whoa, it feels like I'm actually in space. And this is old tech. This is 2019, 6 years old. There's been multiple iterations of this come out afterwards. I think there's like the MetaQuest 2 and 3 and the 3S. I couldn't imagine how much better they are. So I took it to the gathering that I was going to. Everyone had fun with it, and then I brought it back here, and I thought, well, I'm never going to play this again. The novelty wore off for me. I know some people wear them and work with them. They use it as like a monitor, like a computer monitor. They use it to project an entire cinema screen in front of them to watch their favorite movie. I'm just thinking, like, I'm not going to be putting on like half a kilo of goggles to watch a movie. It's just not for me. I have a big enough fucking head. I don't want like something pulling my head down. So I listed them up for sale, and I mean, this is old tech, but still, comps on this were like $250. I put it up and it sold within like 3 days. It was a very, very fast turnaround time. I listed it up November 12th, sold on the 15th. So I think if you're able to find this on a marketplace or in a thrift store, some people might assume that because it's old, it's not worth any money, and it is worth money. So that was the first thing that sold for the week. Then we had a garage sale find from last week that sold. It was the Pokemon Ultra Sun game. Now this is the game that I found within the sandwich bag of the garage sale. $10 they wanted for it. It sold for $90. Now the other game that was in that sandwich bag was Pokemon White 2. Now I'm sorry if you can hear my fucking nose right now. I feel like I've just gotten a lot more congested the more that I talk, and it's like, it's just and phlegmy too. Really, really nice. That's what you want to be hearing too, right? Sam kept Pokemon White 2. It was a $150 game on Marketplace, $180 to $200 on eBay. She didn't have any bites on it, so when I saw her on Saturday, I was like, give it to me. Come on, give it to Matt. I'll take it. I'll take good care of it. I listed it up for her. It hasn't sold yet, but I mean, with Christmas around the corner, oh my God. My nose is just like fucking up, man. Let's power through. So that Pokemon game sold. The other one didn't sell. I thought it would have sold a bit quicker. It still sold quick. I mean, it sold in less than a week, but I thought it would have sold quicker, and it almost did on Facebook Marketplace. This guy messaged me. He sort of lowballed me at first, and I counted. We did that whole dance. And he said, can you meet me at the train station? So this guy lowballed me and then is like, can you come meet me at the train station? I fucking hate meeting people at the train station. They should just come to me. I shouldn't have to do any sort of work to collect this cash, but I agreed. And then we're working out times and stuff, and eventually he said the earliest he could do was Monday at 6 p.m. at the train station. I was like, yeah, whatever, that's cool. So he sets the location, he set the price, and then when he was like, great, I'll see you tomorrow, maybe like 2 hours afterwards, it was like, sorry, I can't do tomorrow, and just left the group. That's Facebook Marketplace, right? It's so flaky. Anyway, 3 weeks ago, I told you about a category that goes really, really hard, and it's fucking wall clocks. Wall clocks go hard. I found one for $10. It sold for $150. This is just an Australian-made wood and brass clock. The brand is Cobb & Co. To me, it just looks like a standard wall clock. I don't understand the hype about this brand. I don't know if it tells time better than any other clock. I don't even know why people want to know the time. It doesn't bring any sort of joy, right? Like, the only reasons that clocks exist are to tell you like you're late for something, or you have to get up in the morning. I've always thought about how if I ever became like ultra rich, I wouldn't want a clock at all. I just want the indicator of time to be the sun. Just get rid of all clocks. Wall clocks, clocks on the computer, clocks on your phone, watches. I just don't like them. That's really all I have to say about them. Something else that sold, Nintendo 3DS bundle, included 6 games, and it sold for $300. I'm going to guess that it's going to be some kid's Christmas present. Had a lot of views on eBay, but it didn't have a single watcher, so I was starting to think that like it was a bad idea to bundle the handheld up with a bunch of crap games. When you do that, people click on the listing to see what the games are, and if they see that they're shit, they sort of discount what the actual main item is, which is the console. They overlook that to look at the games. So at one point in time, I was thinking I might take this down, get rid of the games, list it back up. But anyway, it didn't matter. Somebody had bought it. They paid full price. Didn't even send an offer. You can listen to the podcast maybe 2 weeks ago if you want to hear how I ripped off a kid for this bundle of games. Go back, listen to that. It's the podcast that is titled something like the most important thing to ask in a marketplace pickup. Super Smash Bros. Has gone on to sell. The Nintendo GameCube game that sold in a day, $10 into $65. Leaves us with $43 in profit, $43.13. So we're essentially breaking even on that marketplace pickup already, so everything else is going to be profit. We still have 4 games left to sell. Now, this doll that I found in a Vinnie's thrift store was before the podcast existed. It is a Mattel Wicked doll. Wicked, the Wizard of Oz spin-off, I think. It is a character from that movie called Fiero. Some dude, right? And this toy made the news probably 12 months ago by now. The reason why is when the manufacturer was creating the packaging, on the back of the packaging, they had a website address for wicked.com. They're promoting Wicked the movie. Go to wicked.com. The only thing is, the wicked.com address goes to a porn website, and they didn't know that. They didn't do their due diligence. So this toy went out to all these different stores worldwide, directing kids and collectors of these dolls to go check out a porn website. Eventually they caught on, and the media caught on too. It was everywhere. Collectors took a while though. So 12 months ago when I found this, I wrote a Flip Weekly newsletter telling everyone to go out and look for this doll because you could find it for about $20. And on eBay at the time, it was selling for $250. And at that time, in Australia, it had a crazy sell-through rate. It was sitting at 250%. That means if you list it up on eBay, it's going to sell quickly. Very, very quickly. That's a higher sell-through rate than a lot of other categories. So when I was looking at my store earlier this week, last week, whenever, I was seeing what I had on there, what was listed there for the longest, and I came across this doll and I was like, why hasn't this sold yet? I vaguely remember this being popular. I look up active listings and sold listings, and the price has dropped dramatically. It really got picked up by sellers, and at the moment it sells for about $100. At the time, $250. Now only $100, and it makes sense. Like, this doll was mass produced, mass manufactured. Of course, it's going to drop down in price. So I changed my price from $250 down to $100, and it sold pretty much instantly. It's out the door. I still can't believe that Mattel made such a bad fuck up on this. They didn't want to like completely recall the product because they would have lost a ton of money. So they ended up putting like a sticker over the website address. So you can get ones that don't have the sticker, ones that do have the sticker. I'm not advocating for you to go check out wicked.com. I'm sure the Wicked Movie website address is like wickedmovie.com. But yeah, they really fucking fucked up there. Always be buying anything you see that is Asterix. I found an Asterix DVD for $7. It's sold for $90. It's called Asterix 50th Anniversary Golden Edition. It was 8 discs. It contained 8 different Asterix movies. Somebody in the UK has bought it and they spent a total of $143 on this DVD. That includes the postage and all the taxes that they had to pay. And this week I actually found more Asterix. I found these little pocket books of the comic book for $2 each. I found 8 of them, paid $16 in total, listed them up for $100. Always be buying these Asterix. Asterix comic book, Asterix merchandise, the movies, the DVDs. They have a really small but passionate collector's base. You'll also remember that 2 weeks ago, when I robbed that kid of all his video games, one of the items that I bought was a PSP Go, and he said that it didn't work. Now, I bought a charger off of eBay because I thought, well, maybe it just needs a charge. The charger came this week. I plugged it in, gave it a couple of hours to charge up, turned it on, everything worked fine. No issues whatsoever. All the buttons worked, the screen worked, the software was fine. So I listed that up on eBay for $250, Marketplace $200, and a dude literally rocked up the next day, $200 cash. It was so fucking easy. It was like taking video games from a baby. There's Goosebumps VHS that I found this week have also gone on to sell. Goosebumps on Facebook Marketplace, always a quick seller, sold in less than a day. The guy that came also picked up a couple of other VHS from me, so that was a good deal. And we do have a couple of other sales that I've included on the Flip Weekly newsletter that I'm not going to get into. They're not worth talking about. But I think that's about it for this week. I really need to go and contemplate death. That or sit in the shower for about an hour. If you found anything cool on the garage sale trail last weekend or the weekend before, feel free to share. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you again next week.
Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.